Georgia is being rocked by days of violent protests. Russian and Syrian aircraft intensify bombing in Syria, and how Olaf Scholz makes surprise visit to Kyiv. We will talk about this with Michael Sheitelman, a political strategist based in Kyiv. Michael, glad to see you, and thank you for joining us.
Very nice to see you. Good evening.
Michael, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz has arrived in Kyiv on Monday, the 2nd December, for an unannounced visit. The last time Scholz visited Kyiv was in June 2022, along with French President Emmanuel Macron and the then Italian Prime Minister Mario Draghi. Can we suppose that the purpose of German Chancellor Olaf Scholz's trip to Kyiv is to ask Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky for his position on peace talks? How do you think?
We could have better hopes, because 2 years ago, Mr. Scholz visited Kyiv with his colleagues from France, Italy and Romania to ask Ukraine to join the European Union. So maybe this time it is to ask Ukraine to join NATO, but probably not. But this is our wishful thinking. But the reality, yes, that it will be the last peace process effort from German consular side. I mean, last before the election in Germany, because they have an election in mid-February. So obviously, on one hand, Chancellor Scholz brought us the new military help, 650 million euro. And on the other hand, yeah, sure, he wants to check options of peace process from Ukrainian side. Yes.
Michael, you said that Scholz announced a new military aid package for Ukraine, and I need to say that the military support package will include 2 Iris-T defense systems, 10 Leopard 1A5, main battle tanks, 60 infantry fighting vehicles and armored combat vehicles, also 6,000 unguided and 500 guided missiles. So we're waiting for this. And also Germany's Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock, during her visit to China, warned Beijing of the consequences if it supports Russia with drones, according to Tagesschau. And also Baerbock urged China to actively participate in ending the war, stressing the importance of a fair peace process. So a German foreign minister arrives in China to launch peace process. What about China?
Well, I should mention that this package by Olaf Scholz, by the way, this is the good news about this package, that all of this equipment will be supplied till the end of this year. So it is just for 4 weeks, not for next year.
For years, yeah.
Yeah. And what we could say about Chinese position in this peace process, till now, we never seen any active position in peace process. Okay, China published some documents. One they published almost 2 years ago on the first war anniversary, which was called Chinese Position about the conflict in Ukraine, and which consisted of 12 points. And among these 12 points, we couldn't find any step what we should do or what Russia should do. They just mentioned that they are following the chapters of United Nations, or some paragraphs from United Nations chapters. That's it. Afterwards, they published peace plan with common peace plan with Brazil, China-Brazil peace plan. Again, it was not exactly peace plan. It was just position about the war, because they didn't consist any steps what to do. If we agree with Brazil, for example, and with China, that all the conflicts should be resolved by peace measures and not by the war. Okay, we agree what to do. So China does not have any position about that, about how to stop the war, let's say. What is Chinese position? They not support officially Russia. They supply something. We can't say they supply a lot, because they don't supply by official way any military equipment. More than that, they stopped supplying some goods towards Russia, some high technology goods, for not to crack American and European sanctions. We don't follow these sanctions on one hand, but we not supply some high technology goods. So it looks like China, they are, according to Chinese proverb, they just sit on the river and just wait who will die first, Ukraine or Russia. That's it. And by the way, we make a great and huge money on Russia now, and Russia now on 80% depends on China, on Chinese economy, on China as a supplier of any goods and as a customer for the Russian gas, oil and metals. So China is in very good position about war. You want to stop war, but we don't care about that generally. So rather, again, Minister of Foreign Affairs of German, she came to China just to check their position and not to make China one of partners in this peace process.
Michael, I also want to talk you with Russian influence in Georgia, because we see that tens of thousands of protesters in Georgia have overtaken the capital city's historic Rustaveli Avenue in recent days, waving the national flag, tossing fireworks and clashing with police in intense demonstrations against the ruling party's decision to suspend talks to join the European Union. What's happening in Georgia now? In general, we understand that joining the European Union would mean security assurances for Georgia through the bloc's defense pact, which essentially stipulates that an attack against one European member state is an attack against all member states. This is particularly appealing among the Georgian public in light of Russia's war on Ukraine and lingering memories of violent clashes with the Russian military. What do you think?
The promise of the ruling party, Georgian Dream, in Georgia was that they will bring Georgia to European Union till 2030. It was their pre-election promise. And now suddenly, 4 days ago, acting prime minister from Georgian Dream, don't remember his name, so I'm sorry, but he suddenly said that they stop the negotiation with European Union, we freeze that till 2028. And this claim by Prime Minister Irakli Kobakidze, Mr. Irakli Kobakidze, is absolutely opposite to pre-election promises of Georgian Dream Party. Before that, European Union on Friday or Thursday it was, claimed that last elections, which they about a month ago, they were faked by Georgian managing ruling party Georgian Dream, and most of public in Georgia, they think the same, that the election were stolen. In fact, Georgian Dream, they collected about 40% of votes, of people votes. It was in exit poll. We saw that in exit poll, but they proclaimed that they got 55% and opposition 40%. Now this conflict continued all of these last months, but it has a new impulse and new push after this claim by Prime Minister that we are freezing negotiation with European Union. Why? Because 86% of Georgian people, they want to join European Union. So obviously, this decision was against the will of the nation. So this is the reason why this protest, they not only started, but they don't stop. And they don't stop despite all the arrests. Last night, the authorities arrested more than 200 people in Rustaveli Street or Avenue. and in the center of Tbilisi. So obviously it is very serious conflict between the will of nation, of Georgian nation, and the plan of ruling party Georgian Dream.
Michael, also we see that Latvia, Lithuania and Estonia will impose restrictive measures on the Georgian leadership over the violence suppression of protests that erupted in the country amid the government's rejection of European integration. This was stated by Lithuanian Foreign Minister Gabrielius Landsbergis. How much does this affect, and what does it affect in general? How do you think?
It will not affect anything from practical point of view, but this is like symbolic act. I remember then Lithuania proclaimed their independence from Soviet Union, in 1990 or 1991. So only one state in the European Union recognized Lithuania as independent country, and it was Iceland. And island flags, they were all around Vilnius, the Lithuanian capital city. I remember in the moment of revolution against Soviet military troops. And now, Baltic states, they continue this chain, They know what is Russian occupation. They were under Soviet occupation about 45 years or something like that. And now they want to support Georgian nation. They see that de facto Georgia has Russian occupation now from the Baltic point of view. But they want to be the first countries who said that, who incorporate sanctions. But I believe that next week, if the revolution is not stopped in Georgia, when we will see other sanctions by European Union or maybe by United States. Because European Union and United States, they stopped almost all the relationship with Georgian current authorities. So it looks like we are ready to make the sanctions on Georgia. So it is just first and symbolic jest, but European Union ready to make the same step.
Michael, also we see that the situation in Syria is getting worse, and the Institute for the Study of War analysts said in a report that Russia has stepped up diplomatic efforts to support the regime of Syrian President Bashar Assad amid the active advance of opposition forces. Also, what's happening in Syria? Who are the rebels who have seized control of Aleppo in Syria? And can we say that Russia has been facing difficulties in providing additional support to the regime of Syrian President Bashar Assad due to the high intensity of hostilities in Ukraine?
Well, here in Kyiv, we are not big specialists in Syrian internal affairs, so I will not tell you stories about Sunni Alawite and Shiites inside Syria. But what important point for us is the Russian role in this regime, Syrian regime, and support Syrian regime. Last 10 years, Syrian regime of Bashar Assad stays on the Russian military troops. And Russian military troops, they de facto surround Damascus. And also, it was 8 or 9 years ago, they captured Aleppo city. Aleppo city was controlled by these rebels, by these, some rebels, let's say the opposition to Bashar Assad. But Russia used very heavy force. They de facto they ruined Aleppo, like they ruined now cities on Donbas in Ukraine. So the same way, by artillery and by aviation, with bombing, they ruined Aleppo and part of other cities, for example, Palmyra. And Aleppo is the biggest city in Syria, more than 2 million people. And by this way, Syrian official Bashar Assad forces and Russian army, they captured Aleppo in 2016, 2017. But it took then 2 years for Russian army. Now it took 2 days to opposition to retake control on Aleppo and other cities in the region, and it looks like they are moving forward to Damascus. And the main reason why today it was possible for opposition is that Russians withdrew their troops from Syria de facto. They didn't report that officially, but in fact they almost don't have any forces in Syria on the military basis of Russian military bases. All the military forces of Russia, they went to from Damascus, to Donbas region of Ukraine, to Ukrainian war. And this is the reason why opposition so quickly and successfully moves forward to retake also Damascus, maybe. Today we had very interesting reports from Syria, and these reports were by intelligence service of Ukraine. And these reports, they say that Russian diplomats and Russian military officers, they leave Damascus now. And from Syrian opposition, we have video reports how they captured some Russian equipment, Russian military technique, and also Russian, headquarters or something, because it looks like Russian headquarters with Russian flags, etc. And Russian pilots, they now bomb. They bombed not the opposition, but they own Russian military bases. They're empty, these military bases, and they bomb these military bases just to destroy the equipment and ammunition, Russian equipment and Russian ammunition, which they left after they left Aleppo and other cities. So today it looks like very big, a very bad news for Mr. Putin, let's say, and it means very good news for Ukraine.
Michael, I see message that hundreds of Iran-based Iraq militants crossed into Syria overnight to assist Bashar Assad's regime in combating rebels who have captured Aleppo. And Tehran has pledged the support for Damascus, Reuters reports. An Iranian foreign minister stated that Syria's army is capable of countering the rebels, but regarding Tehran-based regional groups, he added that resistance groups will help and Iran will provide any support needed. What role will Iran play? Because we know the Russia-Iran relations. Also, we see these Russia-Iran relations in Ukraine, because we see Shahed drones all the time, and not only Shahed drones. So, your opinion?
The funny fact about Syrian war now today is that Bashar Assad, he asked help from two sides, from Iran and from Israel. He is the enemy of Israel, but yes, just now in one of Israel internet sites, I read that with a source in Saudi Arabia, they reported that Bashar Assad, in some diplomatic channels, he asked Israel to send forces, or to help with ammunition. But obviously Israel will reject that ask. But Iran, they're very interested in Syria. This is the only place to support Hezbollah. Hezbollah formerly located in Lebanon, in South Lebanon, but in fact Hezbollah also located in Syria, and Hezbollah controls Damascus airport, and this is the only airport through which Iran can supply Hezbollah with weapons. So they are very interested in Assad regime in Syria. But it is very difficult to Iran to participate openly in this process, because Israel, I believe that Israel people, they interested in Russian defeat in Syria. After long years, then Russia did the problems to Israel aviation in the Syrian sky, for example. So Israel Air Force, they can also take the part in this conflict, not to help opposition, but at least to stop Iran for moving towards Syria, because what Israel not interested is in Iranian forces and Iranian ammunition inside Syria.
Michael, also, I see that Russian President Vladimir Putin has approved a record-breaking defense budget, also setting aside a staggering third of the government's total spending at the war in Ukraine, drains resources from both sides nearly 3 years on. This fact can boost military growth, Russian growth, and how it can affect on Ukraine.
Let's start from the good news. The good news that the Russian budget, from a mathematician point of view, has only 100% in total. Yeah, and last year, 33% of Russian budget went to the war, and now it is about 50%. Okay, officially it is 45% of Russian budget went to the war, and by the new law, which was signed last Sunday by Mr. Putin, and they have also some classified points, classified figures in this budget, and so combined it is more than 50% of Russian budget will go to the war next year. And it means that there is no spare place, no spare money to spend more and more. If you spend more than 50% to the war and all the rest, I mean, I don't know, education or social politics, it is less than 50% of your money. And it could bring for the big economic problem in Russia and big social problem in Russia, and we can see the start of this. Last week, for example, the exchange rate of Russian ruble crossed 100 ruble per dollar and get to the ceiling of 109 ruble per dollar. And just a year and a half ago, it was 50 ruble per dollar, and now 109. So it is more than doubled during a year and a half. And obviously it is very big strike on Russian economy. And the same we can see when we watch to the biggest Russian company in the world at all, in all the Russian economy, is Gazprom. Gazprom is the Russian monopoly for gas supplying. It was supplying to Europe and to China and to India. And now this week, capitalization of market cap of Gazprom is $25 billion. And just 10 years ago, it was 350 billion. Now it is 25 billion. And this Russian company was on the 3rd place in the world list of biggest companies. And now it is not on the 1000th place. So obviously the economic policy of Russian government just crashed, just absolutely crashed. And from today we can say that Russian economy will not be free economy, but the Soviet economy with planned economy and with not free ruble exchange rate. And I hope it could bring also to shortage of basic products, basic goods, food, etc.
Michael, hope that Russian economy to collapse within a year. Michael, thank you for this important conversation. Thank you for your support. Michael Sheitelman, a political strategist based in Kyiv, was with us today. Dear audience, subscribe on this channel. Also subscribe on Michael Sheitelman channel. Wish you a good day and see you.
Thank you. Goodbye.